Hello and welcome to Business Television India. I'm Hiral Desai, and let's look beyond the bottom line. Our guest today is the managing director of one of the largest gold financing company in the world, Muthoot Finance, Mr. George Alexander Muthoot, a company that started off with a chit fund and then diversified to gold loans with an AUM of over 27,000 crores now. Welcome to the show, Mr. Muthoot. To start off with, firstly, my first question to you will be in terms of where gold financing is concerned, because that has largely been a part of the unorganized market. If you could just tell us, how have you actually managed to get the borrowers moved from the traditional village money lenders to the organized space, specifically Muthoot Finance?
Yeah, Muthoot Finance started the gold lending business in 1939 with a very small bay and started branching out in 1979. So from that time onwards, we have been promoting the gold loan as an organized business. Actually, the gold loan business is traditionally done by village money lenders and the private financiers. The customers who are taking these loans had a lot of concerns with them. Getting back their gold on time, higher rate of interest, storage, safety, security, etc. So that is when we, as Muthoot, we started the gold loan business, and we started in an organized way with branches, just like banks. The gold is kept in strong rooms, safes, etc. There are proper accounts, receipts, and also the transparency with the customer. All these things really helped customers to actually understand that this can be an organized business, and certainly they had all the advantages of safety, security, transparency, and certainly lower rate of interest also. So we were able to sell this concept to the customers, especially in South India. We started from Kerala, and then grew on to the adjoining states, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, South India. And in South India, gold loan as a product has been quite popular, of course, among the unorganized sector, money lenders, etc. In North India, when we started in 79, we had mainly in Kerala branches, then started big branches expansion in 90s, and we went out to the other states of Kerala. And in 1995, we started to go outside the southern states. We started in Delhi. In Muthoot Finance had an advantage because the chairman of the company, Mr. M.G. George Muthoot, had been in Delhi for quite some time. So he knew the North Indian culture, the North Indian way of doing business, etc. So initially, we had to sell the concept of gold loan in North India. There, people did not understand what is gold loan, how convenient it is. So we started marketing the concept, selling that you have gold at home. It is an idle asset. Why don't you bring it to Muthoot? It is safe, secure, and you can get your gold loan in 5 minutes' time. In fact, we advertised as loan in 5 minutes, 5,000 to 20 lakhs. That was our first advertisement. People did not understand how you can get a loan in 5 minutes. When they came to us, we told them that, yes, this is a gold loan. The gold is lying idle in your house. Why don't you bring it here? And then first initially, they reacted very angrily, saying that, no, how can I give my gold ornaments to you? But later on, they realized that a loan which you can get in 5 minutes, and where you don't have to ask your friends, borrow money, etc., this was certainly a big achievement. And for your information, we take only gold ornaments. We don't take bullion, we don't take gold coins, etc., only gold ornaments. And that is the strength of Muthoot in the sense that we are able to assess the gold and also find its approximate purity to see whether it is good quality ornaments. Once the ornaments are weighed, assessed for purity, maybe 21 carat, 22 carat, that is the ornament gold. You don't wear 24 carat, you wear only 21, 22 carat gold. If it falls in that, they are eligible for a loan. All our staff, today we have 25,000 staff in Muthoot Finance with 4,500 branches in all the states in India, all the states and union territories in India, we are spread out. So our staff is very well trained to weigh the gold and give the gold. So that is why we were able to market the concept.
Moving from there on, but if you could just tell us, how does it differ? Is it that Muthoot's rates are cheaper than the traditional village money lenders?
Certainly. Our rates are, village money lender, there is actually no return rate, etc. They charge what they like, but definitely they charge maybe 36, upwards of 36%, where our rates today are in the range of 18% average, but we have also lower rates, 14%, 12%, and going up to 22%. Our average yield today is about 19 to 20%. So certainly it compares well with all the others, and there are no other charges. We don't take any charges, and we charge interest only for the actual number of days. You take a loan on 10th, you close it on 20th, you pay only 10 days interest. There is no entry load, there is no exit load, there is no service charge. That's the beauty of this.
Let's rewind a little bit for viewer interest as well. Give us a little history of Muthoot Finance and what made you venture and join the business?
Me personally, yeah. I started and I entered the business in 1975 full time. Even when we were younger boys in the school, we were supposed to go to the office and work there. So even if we are in the school or college, evenings we had to come to the office. So actually there is a passion, there was an excitement, and me, although I had done my chartered accountancy, the company felt that definitely a chartered accountant can be used better in the company. So that's why we joined the family business of my father in 75 itself.
Right. So that's in terms of your personal life and you joining business. But going into financing, as a borrower, what's the amount that one can borrow in terms of the value of the gold today?
So a gold which is brought to us, ornament gold, it is weighed and tested, and then we assess the market value of the gold. Once the market value of the gold is 100, we are permitted by Reserve Bank to give up to 75%. So we tell the customer you can get up to 75% or 70 or whatever you want, and they get 70% or 75% of the value of the gold as loan.
Right. So does the same procedure work in terms of where gold ETFs are concerned as well?
So gold ETF, I'm not very familiar, because gold ETF, the amount of gold ETF which people have are very limited versus the amount of gold ornaments. Today, India has about 20,000 tons of gold, mostly in ornaments. I don't know about ETF, and we actually generally don't lend on ETF because we don't have a niche market there.
But any chances where you would be looking at lending towards gold ETFs? Because to my knowledge, there are chances that, the collateral value in terms of the ETFs would be higher than physical loan. So do you see a Muthoot going and lending against gold ETFs then?
Okay, we can. We have never had requests for customers to come and ask loans against ETF. It has not actually come to us. Probably we can look at it, and but personally, I don't see a big potential for gold ETF loans, because they can get this from banks. We don't stand a chance, because banks will be lending at much lower rates.
Right. So if you could just tell us now, in terms of where, the gold that you get, if you're saying 75, up to 75% is the kind of loan that you give out in terms of the gold that comes to you. How do you do the hedging work? I mean, what's the kind of margin that you need to maintain? How much interest coverage that you need to do on this?
We give loans only against gold ornaments. So we can't do a hedging on the gold, because the gold doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the customer. So what we can do is only persuade the customer to take back the gold. But we have some inherent advantages in taking an ornament. Ornament is generally owned by the family, and they wouldn't like to lose that ornament, because there is also a making charge of about 15% for every ornament. So even though the gold cost is 100 rupees, the making charge itself brings it to 115 rupees, and we give only 75. So there is a margin of 25 plus another margin for the making charge, because if the customer wants to replace the gold, he has to shell out 115 rupees. So that persuades them not to abandon the gold. So probably we give the loan for 1 year, and generally 95–96% of the customers close their gold well before that. So we don't need to do a hedging. The hedging is already there because we give only ornaments which has a sentimental value and also a personal attachment. So people generally wouldn't like to abandon the gold. But if it is a gold bar or just a gold locket, etc., which doesn't have a sentimental value, if the price of gold falls below 100 rupees and if the interest etc. is covering more than that, they can abandon it because they can get the same gold elsewhere. So that is our hedging. Our hedging is we give only against ornaments which have a sentimental value to the owner of the gold.
Right. But what is the kind of margin that you need to keep? My question is coming from how do you manage to cover the interest cost as well in case of a default then?
So we have a system of periodical collection of interest. Although the loan is given for 1 year, we actually ask the customer to pay periodical interest, and we give a concession or rebate if the interest is paid monthly or quarterly. So if they pay monthly interest, we give a good rebate. So it entices the customer to pay interest monthly, or quarterly also we give a rebate. So they are happy to pay interest and keep the loan running so that the interest doesn't cover. So even otherwise, the interest of 75% on a 1 year loan doesn't come to interest plus principal doesn't come to 100. And as I said, the sentimental value is also there. The average loan tenure which we have seen is only 4 months, because although it is given for 1 year, people tend to close their loans early because they would like to return the ornaments to their real owner, the husband, wife or family member. So they take it off. Many people, even about 30% of the people, close their loan in 30 days time.
Right. And what happens if gold prices go up? Do customers actually come and tell you that we want the loan revalued because we do stand a chance to get a higher loan amount? Does that really happen?
Yeah, if the gold price goes up, and that is, we call it the loan to value. If the loan to value is 75%, and maybe after 6 months, if the gold price goes up and if he has a margin, he can certainly renew the loan and take the difference amount. It doesn't actually add up to much because of late in the last 2-3 years, we haven't seen gold price going that high for customers to come in flocks. But of course, he can always come, close the old loan or renew the old loan, pay the interest and take the difference. That happens, definitely happens.
Right. In terms of a default rate and recovery is concerned, at what percentage does it stand today for you?
So actually the default rate for us, we call ourselves NPA when the loan exceeds 1 year plus 3 months. That is when we call it as a non-performing asset. So that is our NPA today. It's about 2%. But you should understand that for a gold loan company, there is no NPA. The NPA is just loans which have exceeded 12 months. My 100% collateral is there. The gold value is there. So even if the customer comes after 1 year or after the period, we get back our interest. Maybe a little interest we may lose, but principal etc. is 100% safe.
So are there chances?
By giving
are there chances that there is confiscated gold with you on the back of a major default coming in there? And if yes, what do you do actually with that confiscated gold?
No, we don't call it confiscated gold. When the gold reaches 1 year and he's still not coming, we actually send advocate notice and registered notice and advertise in the newspaper, and we do a public auction on that. In the public auction, we really get back our money. Sometimes we get little less than our interest. If our principal is 100, the interest due is 25, and we sell it for 115 or 120, we lose the 5 rupees interest. Instead of 25, I would have got only 20. But if by chance, instead of 125, I realize 130, there is a 10 rupees excess, which we refund to the customer. It's done in a public auction, and it's a very transparent, and there are certain regulations put forth by the regulator for when, how, etc. to do the auctions and what is the process, etc. It is well laid out, and definitely people understand that.
Right. As you've just been speaking about where branches are concerned, 1979 is where you started branching off. Today you have 4,300 plus branches and your AUM is little over 27,000 crores. The average loan size per branch is around 6.3 crores. 5 years from now, Mr. Muthoot, how many branches are you looking at from 4,500 plus to where do you see yourself?
So actually, we had a very rapid branch expansion in the last 10 years. But in the last 3 years, we have almost consolidated. We are now in a consolidation phase because we don't need this much of branches. So a branch typically can do a service, goods customers with about at least 15 to 16 crores of average business. Today, the average business is around 6.5 crores. So we can do up to 15 crores in a branch. But it depends on the location, the people, the town, etc., whether we can get 15 crores or 6 crores or 4 crores. So we are prepared to do that. But as we see, gold loan business cannot grow in double digits and triple digits, double digits, etc., continuously. Probably because our AUM is also pretty large. We should think about a 10% to 15% growth annually is what we should be thinking. So 5 years from now, probably we may see about maybe double or little less than double what we have the AUMs today.
Right. As you just mentioned that, yes, 15 crore is the max, is the kind of business that you can do per branch. But if you see in terms of where geographies are concerned, you have a major concentration in terms of where South India goes. You did mention that Delhi was something that you did look at. But overall, the other regions in terms of North, East and West have remained pretty much flat. Has this been a strategic decision by you and the company that we will be only present in the South and not really expand in the other geographies of the country?
So actually, in the last 4 years, our expansion in the Northeast and West, we call it NEW, has been substantial. And today it is almost 45% of my total AUM comes from Northeast and West. It's only around 52% which comes from South. The concentration of South is decreasing day by day. See, for 10 years back, South constituted 80% of my book. Today it constitutes only 52 or 53% of my book. North is really the place where our branches are also, we have about 1,700 branches in Northeast and West and about 2,700 branches in the South. But in North, our branches are all in the big towns. You said about Delhi, we have about 300 branches in Delhi NCR alone, and they're all doing good business.
So in terms of geography, what do you think will be the next lucrative market that you will be looking at? Because South is already overcrowded by Muthoot Finance now. Which are the new geographies that you would actually put your hands into?
Yeah, I think North and West would be the first ones to go, because in North, etc., we are there only in the big towns. Whereas in South, we are in the very small panchayats and villages. But in North, because it's a very vast place and a new place, we have gone only to the big towns. Probably in North and West, especially in West, we will go to the smaller towns also, or maybe first go to the district headquarters, cover all the district headquarters, then go to the taluk headquarters, etc. in a calibrated way. But probably we will be thinking of about 100, 200 branches every year is what we have in mind as of date. So, but a new regions which you have looked is Northeast is showing a lot of promise, Northeast. And we recently ventured into Andamans, of course, a small place, but there also the reception has been good. But the number of branches in these places which we can open would be quite limited. But the big cities are always growing, and we see that the big cities can still take more branches.
Mr. Muthoot, if you talk about where source of funds is concerned, consistently we've seen that your borrowings from banks and FIs have actually gone up in the last 4 years from 30% to 44%. The borrowing that you did through secured NCDs has gone down from 42% to 12% now. And similar situation we are seeing in terms of where subordinated debt is concerned. Or if you talk about, we've seen an uptrend slightly in secured non-convertible debentures as well. How is the borrowing trend expected to look like? Do you think your borrowing from banks is something that you would be concentrating on now?
Actually, we have about 20,000 of loans and maybe 6,000 plus of equity. So 22,000 crores of loans. Out of that, about 12,000 comes from banks and 10,000 comes from NCDs, the listed NCD, the unlisted NCD, and the commercial paper. So these three constitute about 10,000 crores. And over the years, we have seen that our listed NCDs, etc., the borrowing cost is coming down. Today, the borrowing cost, the incremental borrowing cost is only about 9% plus. And for CPs, it is much lesser. So it is our desire to see that we have a mixed basket of borrowings from banks as well as from the other sources which we said. So we have been maintaining that always, and probably banks rate has always been around 10,000. We deal with about 25, 26 different banks, and borrowings from them have been stable.
Right. But currently, we are seeing a lot of interest that is coming in terms of where bonds are concerned. Will that be something that you would be looking at?
Yeah, we certainly will be looking at last two tranches of bonds have been very well subscribed. The last tranche of 2,400 crores actually was oversubscribed in 2 days' time. And the previous one in 1 day's time, 1,300 crores. So we see a lot of interest, institutional interest also in these bonds. Earlier it was only retail customers subscribing to our bonds. In the last 6 months, we have seen institutional interest also. That's a very, very heartening thing to understand, that institutions are also coming into this, and that is bringing down our cost of borrowings also.
Okay. Apart from that, if you've been concentrating in terms of where gold finance is concerned, you have entered into other businesses as well, like money transfer services, white label ATMs, national pension scheme, your collection services. What percentage of your revenues currently come from here? And 5 years from now, where do we see all of these businesses?
Okay, so the non-fund based business is a very, very meager business. Maybe it constitutes maybe 1% or 2% of my total revenue only. But we have started to diversify our asset lending. From today, 95% of my gold, the book, belongs to gold loans. Only 5% is elsewhere. That is a little. We have about 500 crores in the home finance company, which is a 100% subsidiary of Muthoot, Affordable Homes, which we started last year. It has about 500 crores. And we also invested in a microfinance, in a 65% in a microfinance, which has about 500 crores. So today, only 5% of my assets lie outside gold loan, which we would like over the years, if you say it 2, 3, 4, 5 years, we would like to bring it up to about 20%. So next year, we would like to bring it to 10%. Succeeding year, we would like to bring it about 15% of my total book from the housing finance, the microfinance, as well as we have an venture in Sri Lanka also, which is a NBFC, is a listed NBFC, very small company, which does NBFC and also gold. So we would like to diversify our asset portfolio. Talking about the non-interest income, we have a insurance broking arm, which is 100% subsidiary, which is also doing well. It does all the insurance, vehicle insurance, life insurance, health insurance, etc. for third parties. It's a broking entity only.
Mr. Muthoot, with the kind of diversification that you just mentioned to us, 10% is the kind of revenues that you would look at next year, 15% subsequent after that. In the next 5 years, taking all of this into consideration, what is the kind of revenue number that you have as a target for a Muthoot Finance, taking all the businesses into consideration in the next 5 years? What is that number that you are looking at?
So, as I said earlier, today my AUM is about 27,000 crores. 5 years from now, if things are okay, it should go in the range of 40 to 45,000 crores. And today, my yield is revenue. If you say yield is about 19%, so we should be looking at a yield of 18 to 19% on the 45,000 crores 5 years from today.
Right. One more question what I had over here is, you already mentioned that, yes, you are looking at other financial services as well. But with the existing infrastructure that you have in terms of the number of branches, the kind of spread that you have in terms of infrastructure and geographies, what are the other lending forms of business that you could look to enter in? How would you look at leveraging the business opportunities, like probably providing a loan against a current existing property or a loan against an existing used car? Is this a kind of opportunity that you would actually think about?
So, looking at vehicle finance, certainly it's a good sector. It's a good sector worth venturing into. Not necessarily the used cars, the new cars as well as the used cars is a good segment, and it's a worth opportunity an opportunity worth looking at. Probably when we have the right people for that, we can use it. But we don't need to leverage all these on the branches. All the housing finance and all these other businesses which you said works on its own branches. But Muthoot Finance customers are generally lead suppliers. So the customers of Muthoot Finance, which is about 65 lakh customers we have at any kind of time, they are the lead generators. So we can generate leads from there, but it is managed by the other company. So vehicle finance is a good sector which can look at, other than the housing and the microfinance which we already have, and probably some other types of loans also, as and when opportunity comes, Muthoot Finance would like. So as I said, we would like to diversify our asset allocation from gold loan to other things. But all said and done, the best business today is gold loan.
Right. And lastly, Mr. Muthoot, before we let you go, a quick word in terms of what's going to be the succession plan for Muthoot Finance. You are the third generation, if I'm not mistaken. Is the fourth generation already into business, and that's what it's going to be?
Yeah, we have the next generation boys also coming into the business. But along with that, we have a team of the top professionals also in the company who would also definitely join hands along with the younger generation in this business, because the business is getting more and more diversified. I wouldn't say complicated, but certainly more and more diversified. And we have CEOs for the different new divisions which have started. As I said, we have different CEOs for the Sri Lanka operation, for the housing finance, for the microfinance. So we have different CEOs, and certainly they also will be part of the growth.
Right. And on a lighter note, being surrounded with jewellery across, any thoughts of establishing any jewellery brand where you only become the seller and you only become a lender of money on the same jewellery?
I don't think it will go well with the customers, because they will certainly think we are selling used jewellery.
Right. All right, Mr. Muthoot. It was a pleasure having you on BTVi. So that was the management of Muthoot Finance giving out his succession plan as well as the growth prospect over the next 5 years. That's all that we have on this edition of Beyond the Bottom Line. Thanks for watching.